Hey guys, I'm going to give you a little tour of our homestead today. And if you're developing a homestead or thinking about going off grid, there might be some good little nuggets in here that you haven't considered or heard about. One of them is going to be how we provide for ourselves up here using our adjacent properties that we bought, and they're paid for in full, and the passive income from those rental homes, one is a short-term rental and one is a long-term rental, helps sustain everything that we do up here. All right, so here's our little off-grid barn that houses a lot of our solar equipment, where we store all of our heavy equipment. We've got extra buckets and trailers and the RV. Now we do have another little small barn I'll show you when we get over to one of our rental properties that was there when we bought the place, and we restored it and put a new roof on it, and we keep some of our trailers in there. I'll also walk around to the back of the house here where we have a new trailer storage area. But this is our fuel dolly. We keep all our diesel and gasoline. This is something I'm going to be breaking out real soon for hauling behind the ATV. It's got a little expandable boom on the back, and we're able to spray for weeds using this industrial agricultural vinegar over here. And this is the snow blower, which I've put away for the winter. Just did a video on that too. If you want to check out my channel, you'll see all sorts of videos on how we maintain the land up here. These are our little rubber dummies. We have a new shooting range that I just built. Did videos on that as well. Charging station, little extra water storage. Now we have off-grid water here. I call it off-grid because it's a well. It's right over there. And it is powered by the solar system right back here. And this is our newer RV, but I just did a video on how to use an RV as a way to have solar panels on the roof for a grid down situation where you can basically sustain yourself in an emergency shelter if you pull this out in the sun. Bought that for my future 80-year-old self. Don't use it that much now. I usually just brute force things, but every once in a while when you have to lift something really heavy, it really comes in handy. This is the back door of the barn. We don't really use that much because it's just sort of in an awkward place you can't drive through, but it's nice to get a cross breeze in here and some extra light when we're working. This is the battery storage. This is 95 kWh of Rubik's battery storage. These little LEDs light up to tell you what you've got going. You can see we've got 99% charge. I could light them all up, but they're all going to say the same thing because they're all synced together through these, and that'll tell you right there what's coming in from the array. We're 100% battery state of charge, so we're all topped off for the day. And I'll walk you back here. I've got saws and cement mixer, and then we go out this side door here, and there's the solar array. We'll walk up here. Now I love to do these videos for you guys, but I never really know exactly what you want to see. So if you want to see more in-depth tours of our rental properties, I'm going to give you a sneak preview here coming up and explain how all that works in just a few minutes. But if you want to see that, let me know in the comments. This is a adjustable array, seasonally adjustable. So we crank these, and right now it's at 35 degrees. Pretty soon, because we're heading into summer, I'll crank these to about 15 degrees because the sun is more directly above us during the summer, and during the winter it's way lower on the south horizon. So we will crank these all the way up to about 55 degrees. Here's my DC PV array isolators. We've got the array broken into 6 different little micro arrays. They're all together in one, but they're broken into 6, so you can isolate them if you need to change out one panel. You don't want to electrocute yourself, and you don't have to shut off the whole thing. And I did a whole video on putting this into the ground with these 2-foot by 8-foot sonotubes. So we have an enormous amount of concrete, and why, you might ask, would I have that massive footing and not just a few? We've got 5 of them, and the reason is because we get ferocious winds coming up. That's Zion National Park right over there, and between this valley going down, or this valley floor, and this rise here and this rise here, it funnels that, compresses that air coming through here. Just like between 2 tall buildings, you get higher winds, and that's what happens here, and we get really ferocious winds. So there's just an enormous amount of pressure across this array. And when I hear that wind howling at night, I do not worry one bit. I sleep like a baby, because this thing is anchored to the earth like, you know, tenfold what it probably needs to be. This little fence was required. This is a permitted array here. And I did have a professional electrician do the wiring and help me. My wife and I installed this, and I had 2 helpers help me basically plant these sonotubes in, and did a little bit of that kind of work with a couple of guys. But my wife and I built this array ourselves and put all the panels on it. Once we had the array built, the electricians came back, wired it, and then I put all the wire keepers on here and tidied up and neatened everything up. I also used my backhoe to trench where we just were. Looking at the batteries is right there on the back of that barn. And then we trenched underground, because they build these pole barns without the floor in first. So we trenched underneath to the front box up here, circuit box. That then comes out underneath, and we trenched across to the house. That's how it's all tied together. I have a schematic of that. It's kind of hard to explain. And then we're going to put a generator back here. I'm going to beef out the pad here a little bit, concrete, put a propane generator. Then I'm going to trench underground, and then right up here I'm going to put the 500-gallon propane tank I'm going to show you here over on the side of the house. We're going to move it from over there to here on another little concrete pad there, so that the truck can back up, at least get the tail of the truck up about right there. He's got a long hose. He'll come over and top this off whenever it needs it. It won't need it that often. And I will probably tell them, you don't need to even check it. I'll call you and tell you if it needs it. And that's only going to be because we're going to cycle this generator really only when we have a really cloudy day, or we're just cycling it to keep the generator. You know, you want to cycle them just to sort of, just like a car, you want to run the engine every now and then. And then if we have really cloudy weather, this battery bank can get a little bit low. When it gets down to about 50%, we like to back it up so the generator will kick on and keep them topped off at 50%. And the reason why I do that is because if the grid ever goes down while you're already low and you don't have a generator, actually with a generator we might let it go a little bit lower. But if you were, say, grid tied and you were backing up off the grid and you didn't have any other backup, you would not want to let your batteries get down below 50%, because what if you're at 50% in real cloudy weather, or get down to like 20%, let's say, and then the grid goes down? Then you only have 20% surplus to run your household, and you're kind of screwed. So with the generator, we'll probably let it get down to 20%. Right now, we still have a little finger touching the grid over there. So when we need to, we flip the switch, turn the grid on. Right here, we'll turn the grid on and we'll back up these batteries. Like I said, I don't want these ever below 50%. If I had a generator, then I can get them down lower, because with emergency generated power, you can get lower. And with the dedicated 500-gallon tank, we should be in good shape. But this box right here is a blank designed for us to be able to run out of this wire trench here down into this box and out to the generator. Trough, sorry. Is that called a trough? What is that called? Leave it in the comments. I can't remember what that's called. The wire coffin right there. Yeah, so again, those coming out of the bottom there are running over to, one runs out to the array, and one runs up to the front of the barn. And then from the front of the barn, it runs outside and across to the house. Under here is my little road grader. And I hooked this up to the back of the ATV as well. So I've got the road grader, I've got the tank for spraying the weeds with the vinegar, and I have the little dump trailer that I wired up. And it's just sitting here right now. It's not actually wired up. But this connects here, and then I ran that up underneath here to this little switch that enables me to raise and lower that dump trailer. So this is one of the, it looks like a toy, And yes, sometimes I like to just ride that around, and I put my helmet on and I go fast and get crazy. Not really crazy, but you know, sliding the ass end around. That thing is really fun. But 9 times out of 10, it is in work mode like it is right now. That's because I'm not in performance mode because I'm usually working. It also is 4-wheel drive, which enables me to pull heavy stuff around on these steep mountains we have. That doesn't look that steep, but we get easily 15-degree areas on our driveways and roads, and even just backing in something heavy into this barn right here, it's steeper than it looks. It's the Kubota. I've got the mower. This is my mower, or my skid cutter. That's a beast. It's a high flow Kubota 72-inch wide skid cutter. The actual cut is 72-inch wide. The whole machine is, or the whole rig is about 81 inches wide. And here's the forks that also go on the Kubota. So I've got the bucket on the Kubota. You saw the snow blower. I've got the forks, and I've got the skid cutter. That's how many attachments I have for it so far. But as any of you know, that's an endless game of never-ending possibilities. This is the Pentair water. It's at 61 PSI. This runs over to the well and tells the well when to turn off. That's a variable speed pump, and this keeps the house constantly under pressure. Also have a little pressure tank in the basement that keeps the whole house pressurized, and when that starts to get low, it sends a signal to this, which then turns the well on, and then it just pressurizes the whole system again. And this is the original on-grid infrastructure that we had when we built the house, because we couldn't afford to do the array. We were on-grid when we first built the house. So that's trenched all the way over to this line that runs all the way up the mountain. Over there is where we have some cell phone towers. So we have good cell signal here as well. And I don't complain about any of that. That's just great to have. Now this we can turn off. So I can just flip the switch, turn the grid off, and in here is all of our solar connectivity. And I've got another video, if you want to, I'll link it in the description, of what's wired in there and how all that works. So a lot of this terrace that we're on right now is so that when I pull my RV around, I can straighten it out. It's a long rig with my truck and trailer and RV, and back it into this barn. So it takes a long runway. Now we didn't have this flat area. This was really sloped. You can see down here, it's hard to tell on camera, but that's about 15 feet lower than it is right here, maybe 20 feet. So this is all dirt that was excavated out of the side of that mountain right there for the barn. And there was so much dirt, we were able to build out this terrace and that big terrace that I was just on showing you the solar array over there. That was also sloped off at a steep angle. So that barn was sort of an excavation project for the 2 terraces. And oh, by the way, we got a nice flat spot now. Let's build a barn there. I just realized our window cleaner left their little squeegee over here. We do have someone come clean our windows for us. And yes, we have air conditioning on both floors, upstairs and downstairs. And my dog got into this. That's what happens when you have a Weimaraner. It's hard to see because of the contrasting light, but there's a big hole he dug there. Probably a mouse ran underneath our weed barrier, and I got to fix that. Here's our septic system. This is the manhole cover, which goes on the big tank. The tank runs all the way over. You can see the back of it. There's a little tiny PVC port there, a clean out. And then we have a clean out right there that goes into the house. So it comes out into the tank, runs through here, and then out to the leach field, which you can see way over there. It's a little PVC. And then there's another one way over there. And then I built this terrace over here. This was really sloped. And I built that and actually dropped a rock and broke off some of that PVC and had to fix it. I got another video on that. We're CrossFitters and we like to flip tires. That's why that's there. Again, everything has to be terraced. So when we built the house, we terraced this up real nice. Here's our other air conditioner. And then this runs around to our jacuzzi in the garage because it runs around back here where the breaker is. And that was kind of a challenge to get that circuitry all the way out, runs up and around underneath over there. This is the back of the 4-car garage. So we've got the 4-car garage. The barn is 40 by 60. We've got the other barn down at Treehouse, which I'll give you a quick peek of that. And then we have this completely new terrace, which this was nothing but trees and a very steep slope. And I built this and got all these boulders for this little retaining wall here out of this little alcove I cut right here for the shooting range. And we only plink with 9mm. I don't do anything bigger than that. Not enough ricochet to come over here and puncture this tank. I know what you're thinking. You got a shooting range right next to a propane tank. How stupid is that? Not really. There's nothing that's going to ricochet off that could ever puncture this tank. This 500-gallon tank's the one I was telling you will go over on the back of the barn. And then I'll be burying a 2,000-gallon tank underground right here, which will help widen this out real nice, which will be nice. And here's a AI rendering of a future third barn we'll be putting back here. I added a whole bunch of road base here because we have very bouldery soil. You can see there's just rocks like this everywhere. So when you try and smooth something out and backblade it, I have to use the grizzly screen to get all the rocks out. But you have to put so much damn dirt in there, the grizzly screen, to get any appreciable amount of dirt that it's easier to bring in some road base to make sure that you can kind of top this whole thing off and get over the top of all this moon Mars soil with these boulders. These will get stuck underneath your blade and mess up your back dragging. So once I smoothed out all the road base, then I was able to top it with this 3/4 inch gravel, which I'm quite happy with. It's really locked in nicely. It's a lot more stable than some of the other gravel we've had for driving on. Now here's a trailer that I used to keep in the barn, but the skid steer ousted that. The grizzly screen was beautiful for, you can see the boulders roll off the back, and then your good soil is in the front. So it sifts it. This is the standard one, and then I have this overlay, which is a big piece of 1/2 inch steel laying on top, which takes them down to a little bit smaller, about a 3-inch fine. And those fall down in here and pile up real nice, and then you have this big 12-foot wide pile of sifted gravel. And on the back, all your boulders roll off, and then you sort of just keep moving this around so that all your boulders are basically building your little retaining wall. So that's about 3 or 4 feet lower there than there. I keep the dumpster back here, and then there was a tree that's actually rooted in the ground, but it's a little bit rotten. Or it's not rotten, it's just dead. It's actually still very dense, solid. And that has my little weather vane up there, which gives me wind direction and speed, and also tells me the temperature from inside and how much rain we're collecting and all that. That just goes via Wi-Fi right over to the house, which is behind that tree. And then of course my snowcat, or my snow box here, which is 12 feet wide, that hooks right on the front of the backhoe and just chains on the front of the bucket. The bucket slides into those slots right there. And I use this for quite a while. I'll still use that from time to time, but it's really better for flat parking lot type conditions. It's a little challenging to push that. I can put it in float and it does an okay job. But I do like the snowblower on the Kubota a little bit better. And yes, I need to put more gravel on here, but we do things at kind of a relaxed pace around here. You know, our goal wasn't to kill ourselves to build this homestead. I'm still working as a consultant, and I play still an active role in the company that I sold. I'm going to talk about that here in a few minutes, about how we finance all of this. But we decided we weren't going to kill ourselves until I'm completely retired from anything but this ranch. We're just going to do things in kind of a leisurely pace. So that means early mornings, we'll stop midday, come back out in the evening, the golden hour basically, morning and evening, and then we come out here on the weekends and work. Or we'll go hiking, or we'll go goof off, but you know, things will get done. We're not killing ourselves to do it. Now here's another project, and again, I have a video on this. So I scooped all of this out. It doesn't look like that much, but that was enough to level and make that whole terrace down there. So that's what we do on this ranch, is we find If we need a flat spot, because everything is sloped, you can't build on that. You can't do much on that. That's almost too much to even put the backhoe on. It wants to tip at 15 degrees. And we're just, you know, the right way to do it is to take a notch and then either take the dirt that you're taking out here and put it over here. That's how they do roads on the side of a mountain. Or find some other very local place to get the dirt from and repurpose that area and get that area all at the same time. So it's kind of taking from here and putting it there. That's what we did with the barn. We took it really locally and just moved it a couple hundred feet in either direction. And that makes for a lot less travel time and dump trucks and things to move all that gravel around. We built this house in 2018, finished it in early 2019. And we weren't living here full time. We were still traveling back and forth. It was a little bit of a challenge to get here and keep up. We'd come up here and there'd just be weeds everywhere. We were still on grid at the time. You know, the water, of course, was still well water. We had septic, but the missing piece was the solar. So that's when we came back later and built this barn. And as I've said several times, made the terraces so that we'd have the infrastructure capability to put that, the flat area to put the infrastructure for the solar in there. And I'm always working these driveways, and it's a mile to go down to our gate, our main gate, which if you haven't seen that video, check that out. That thing is a masterpiece and a legacy piece for me. It's a big steel and rock gabion basket gate. The gate itself weighs 600 to 800 pounds, I'm not sure exactly. That thing lights up at night. So we're gonna be redoing some of the solar down there. That's another project that I'll be bringing to you. So if you like this kind of content, you wanna learn more about homesteading off-grid, you might wanna subscribe, and I'd love to have you along for the ride. And for those of you that are already subscribed, I really appreciate you being here with me through all of this. It means a lot. I love your comments. I learn a lot from you guys. And that's partially why I'm doing this, is to create this community where you learn from me, but I learn from you. And I read every single comment. So let me know your thoughts below. Now let's go down to Treehouse. I'll show you our first rental, and I'm going to explain a little bit about how we paid for all of this and how we use this as passive income to fund our entire operation. So this is Treehouse. And this was basically an abandoned vacation cabin, and it's right next door to our homestead. So after we built our homestead, we'd look out our windows, and this was really the only rooftop we could see. Now this sits on 40 acres. It goes way over, almost as far as you can see that way. But the house was built all the way over on the property line, very near our homestead, which is just right back over here. So when we bought this place, we knew that this was ideal for our Airbnb because we built this connecting road. There's an old barn there, which we partially restored, and then we put a road going through right here, which enables us to quickly come down here. There's a gate there, so guests can't go up that way. But it's really nice because we can just pop down here all the time like I am right now. We're between guests, and we're just checking, making sure everything is set. We have housekeeping crew that comes in and cleans, but I like service the jacuzzi and check all the propane tanks and, you know, scrub the barbecue and just do all those final little touches that the cleaning crews, you know, sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't. You know, as the owner, I'm ultimately the one responsible for checking all that stuff. We have a little fire pit out here. So I'll just give you a quick outside tour. And again, same as on our homestead, I'm not going to show you the inside, but if you guys really want to see the inside, let me know in the comments and I'll do an inside tour. But I will show you a few photographs of the inside. Like this door in the garage was just a plain solid door, and we changed this to a all glass door. We had all the hardware powder coated black on the inside, put the little the little cool mood lights around the top, the little hanging the light bulbs, and the sign up on the wall that says Treehouse Spa, and redid the floors, repainted everything. So everything's completely remodeled down on the bottom floor and all up through the house. Anything that was getting run down, we fixed. And, just turn this into a really unique vacation cabin. And upstairs we have this 25-foot window wall, absolutely incredible views of the back of Zion National Park here. This is the West District, which is only about 5 miles down the freeway here. So guests love to come here, and they can easily access the main gate to Zion National Park, or they can access the West Gate, which is very close by, which is the lesser known side of the park, the West District. Then we've got Bryce Canyon National Park. We've also got Bryan Head Ski and Snowboard Resort very close by, or about an hour. And then we're also in between Cedar City, Utah, and St. George, Utah. So there are restaurants and, you know, Walmart, hardware stores, all that within 30 to 40 minutes in either direction. So it's just a beautifully situated cabin. Super convenient to have this right next door so we can really keep an eye on it. This is just really sort of a hobby Airbnb for us. And let me just flip the camera on here so you can see. Here's the little fire pit. We do get wildfires here, so I've just got a propane tank here. These benches are really cool. They're kind of carved into the rock. I need to redo them, so that's on my project list. This is propane. There's a little hose that runs under there, connects to the propane. Put some Adirondack chairs here, and I've got a sign on the rules, how to operate this. This cabin's not completely off-grid. It is grid tied, although you can see the propane tank right down there. This deck wraps all the way around. Really unique. We've got this grand stairwell here. You can enter from either side, and these lights light up at night. We've got little solar lights on them. There's that jacuzzi garage door. I just showed you the little spa room there with a gym in it. This is all Trex decking. Very low maintenance, long lasting. And again, just going to show you the outside here today. This door gets hammered. I paint that about once a year. We've got our little patio lights here. Got one of these Last Forever U-line composite picnic tables here. The barbecue. I take that dumpster down. If you've seen my other videos where I use the backhoe to take that down to the main road where the truck can get it, I do that about once a month. And we'll just walk around the outside here real quick. If you haven't seen the video where this wall was leaking, check that out. It was like 2 videos ago. And I think we've got that problem solved, but these are real logs. So when you go on the inside, you'll see the backside of these exact logs. And it's a lot of maintenance. So when you run an Airbnb, you know, you have to spend a lot of time on preventative maintenance, or you will pay for it the hard way when it goes bad and you get rotten timbers. This view is just incredible. It's a little bit hard to see the epicness of it in this video, but you know, especially when the sun sets behind me on the west, these mountains just glow in all sorts of beautiful colors. So again, this wraps all the way around, and we pipe in high-speed internet right here from InfoWest. It works really well. We've got Starlink up at our place, but if InfoWest ever goes out of business, we'll put Starlink in here. But they've been so good, we just keep that service. And again, this is the loft area up here, and anywhere inside the house, the views are just absolutely incredible. And when guests stay here, they get the full entire 40 acres, even though there's no trails. It's not bushwhacking. You can just walk easily in between these junipers, and they can walk. It's fully fenced, so they'll just walk until they run into a fence, and they can just zigzag or just whatever, explore the land, take their dogs out there. We don't allow motorized vehicles, so no ATVs or anything out there, but just walking around, it's a lot of privacy. As you can see, there's no other rooftops or anything in sight here. And this is just a gem. If you want to rent this, you can go to our website, collabcanyons.com, and rent it a little bit less than you can on Airbnb. But of course, if you want to rent it on Airbnb, you can go there as well. It's a little private balcony for the master suite upstairs. So that's Treehouse. And again, if you want to see a full tour of Treehouse, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to do that. Now let's take a look at our long-term rental. I'm not going to go over there because we have a long-term tenant, and that would just be weird. But I'll show you some photos of that home. And actually, I can barely see it right down there. It has its own well, a backup generator, and then the well for Treehouse is right behind that, and it plumbs all the way up here. And if you haven't subscribed, consider it, because we're going to be putting a backup generator here real soon. And because the well is so far away from this house, we're going to put a backup solar backup down there at the well. All of those infrastructure projects are really what this channel is all about. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, we're a little unorthodox as far as the off-grid homestead community goes. We don't have chickens and goats, and we don't grow anything. We have plenty of land to do that. We have water infrastructure. We've got, acres and acres of great grazed land and potentially farming land. And we may do that someday. I do want to build a greenhouse on the side of the house here, but we're primarily a hospitality ranch. And mostly what I'm doing on this channel is trying to keep these properties and the roads and the gate, everything that the guests touch as part of their experience is in pristine condition so that they keep coming back. And we're a straight 5-star review property, and it takes a lot to maintain that. So even though I love to make videos on this heavy equipment and the plowing of the snow and the maintenance of the roads and all of the off-grid stuff that we do here, there is a bigger picture outside of that. And I mentioned that, how did we fund this? Well, I'm still working. I exited a business that I developed, a contracting business for many years, which enabled us to get ourselves out of debt and to basically have all the properties on this ranch paid for, as well as some outside commercial properties where we have distribution centers, and we're also going to be developing land, commercial land here in our local area that we bought, and we're just waiting on the timing to be right. I was a contractor and I built businesses for a long time, and I made a lot of sacrifices in my life. I went without a lot of vacations, and I didn't go out with my friends very often because I was just work to build the businesses, which I finally was able to sell, and that enabled us to pay for everything that we have. So we don't have any debt and we have passive income. So that's how we maintain this ranch. And I know that's a little unorthodox and a little unusual in the off-grid homesteading space, but I hope that you'll join me for our ongoing journey. And I do love to make videos that please the audience. So if you're a subscriber, by all means, let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next, and I will add it to the list. Thanks a lot for joining today. Don't forget to like this video. That really helps the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.